I'm Suzanne Honebrink, a member of Kiowa County and most recently a member of the Kiowa County Extension Committee. I became interested in extension, although I didn't know it was extension then, was through 4-H. I was a 4-H member participating in the dairy project and clothing projects, among a few other things as well. When I graduated from 4-H, I was so impressed with the program that I wanted to continue to give back to the program. And so I became involved as a volunteer in the capacity of coaching a dairy judging team. And shortly after that, I became involved in the advisory committee of the 4-H. From there, I just have continued to find avenues that fit my skill set and have spent time as a volunteer in the 4-H program. My local commissioner, who was also involved in 4-H, noticed my participation and interest and asked me if I would become more involved in the Kiowa County Extension Committee by becoming a member of that group. It intrigued me because it was a way of continuing to support the program but finding out more about it on the county level and from the government standpoint, the government aspect of the program. So it was interesting to become a part of the committee to continue supporting the types of things that I was interested in. But once on the committee, I realized that there were other aspects of it as well that I could learn about and support as well. As I've gone through the years of working on the committee, I was introduced to the University Leadership Advisory Academy through the extension program. And I was interested in improving my leadership skills. And so through the years, I've tapped into this group as a resource to help manage and to direct our local meetings and to keep conversation and members involved in the conversations of what we were discussing.
You're right.
Another way to get members more involved in a specific part of the committee is to ask for subcommittees. Some of the times that we made use of this tool was when we were doing job performance reviews. We would ask members, whether they were a master gardener or perhaps had an ag interest, to take time and kind of in a small way shadow that person that was doing that job and then be able to write an accurate job performance for them. Perhaps maybe even participate in some of their programs. So in that way you're lending support to the staff member, but you're also gaining information on how they do perform in their capacity. Budget committees, anytime that you have a large scale item that needs more information before a group decision can be made, it's helpful to break that down into a subcommittee and then share it as a group. And that will give you an opportunity as a person who has an interest in that small aspect of the group to delve into that information and then bring that information back to the group as a whole. I also found it helpful to participate with our regional director whenever, especially when we were discussing budgets with the county. It's interesting to get their perspective of what your committee is and what their reaction is to it. It helps you understand where you can maybe shore up some support and maybe who you can have a discussion with that enhances what your program is all about. It also helps the county commissioners identify what your program is about by having discussions with them and giving them a face of the community that is a part of this extension committee and how active and important it is within your county. The budget is an important aspect, and as you spend more time on the committee, I think you begin to realize the impact that you as a committee member can have with your commissioners and that your committee can have as making this budget happen. So it's similar to talking with your congressman. This is your grassroots place to talk with your local government and emphasize to them how important these programs are to the county in which you live in, and why you are supporting these programs and why you encourage them to support these programs. So making that connection with your local commissioner and with your budget committee on a county level is a key aspect of the committee to make your programs work and function as moving forward through the year. In helping everyone understand, the memorandum of agreement can be challenging sometimes and a little difficult to understand as you work through it, but having conversations and asking questions and answering questions about that will be helpful so that everyone understands the role that the budget plays in an extension committee and with the county that you're working with. Bringing committee members, or as a chairman yourself attending and bringing members with, allows the county budget group and the commissioner to see your vested interest in this program and that you are supporting this program with your time and the decisions that you make on this committee to direct this program. So it's a very important step to join your regional director whenever possible to talk through this budget program or talk through the budget process, and also for yourself to understand the perspective of the county and the local commissioner that they have on the program. The meetings that I enjoy the most when staff were making presentations were ones where they would bring in, for example, a 4-H member to talk about the shooting sports program that they were involved in and some of the aspects that they really enjoyed, and gave us actual examples of things that they did in the shooting sports program. We encourage staff members to be creative and involve others that were actually using their program to participate in their presentations, because it gave us a really good idea of the type of people that were using the programs and also the types of things that these people were learning from these programs. It was very effective to showcase the staff's skills and how the program was moving forward for them. And so we would also encourage, oftentimes we had several questions for the staff member, but we would also encourage that staff to ask us questions, and so that we could understand how we could support that staff position in a better situation. Carver County has an interesting program because we share our staff with another county. And I think it became extremely important to understand some of the challenges that our staff members were facing because they were working with 2 different extension boards. One culmination was that our county would meet with that other county at least once a year as a joint meeting so that we could understand their perspective of being on an extension committee and realize that not every extension committee operates in the same manner. And so we were able to have a discussion about how our programs were both the same, but how they were also different, and then be able to work through some of those differences. And in the ultimate result was that it would benefit our staff members so that they could have a smoother transition between counties and between how their programs were functioning. The initial membership on the committee, it's kind of like you're like, oh, what did I do and how can I actually contribute? Because you're getting your feet wet, you're learning about what the program is actually involved in. And I feel one of the best ways to do is just to participate in conversations and to ask questions if you're not familiar with how things are going on the committee. As you become more comfortable with the different aspects, one extra step I took was that I did become a part of the budget committee because it was a special interest of mine. But as you move forward on a committee, it's important to invest time in certain aspects that pertain to that you find interest in, and that will help you grow as yourself, and then also grow into more of a leadership role on the committee. And as this occurred to me, I began to feel more comfortable with taking that leadership role and then finding ways so that newer members could also improve on their leadership skills and participate in the committee to a fuller extent. So one of the helpful tools was the EULA Academy. And then as I'm nearing the end of the committee time frame, it's just facilitating the discussions that our committee had in our different agenda items that we were working through so that all people could participate and feel involved in the committee. Prior to the meeting, I felt it was important to review the agenda and be familiar with what the topic of conversation was going to be for the meeting that day. It's helpful to just reacquaint yourself if there was previous discussion, to review minutes to refresh yourself about what that conversation was so that you could help carry on that conversation. Also, prior to the meeting, I like to plan a question for the group. And it could be a very simple question as to what are you looking forward to doing this spring, or what's a goal that you have for this summer to accomplish. And then ask each person in the room to participate. It felt like it really helped people come to the meeting, have a little bit of time to relax, and also to talk with the other people that were in the room, getting to know them a little bit. It helped the conversation for the entire meeting flow in a more natural way. As a chairman, it's important for you to keep the meeting moving in a timely manner. And that doesn't mean cutting someone short if you're having an interesting and valid discussion about things, but it is being conscientious of how long you are spending on the topic, and especially if the topic is kind of dwindling, it's time to take some time to summarize what the conversation has been about, and then asking if at that point you need to ask for a motion, or if you need to decide to move it to a subcommittee. Sometimes you simply need more information before you can make a decision, so you may need to ask that that item is tabled and comes up again after more discussion or more time has been given to the thought of that discussion. One very valid discussion that we had and spent a lot of time on in our committee meeting was the placement of youth on our board. There were a lot of interesting aspects to the discussion based on what the commissioners were concerned about, based on what one person maybe had an idea was the idea, what the thought process was behind the youth member, or another person saying, I don't know that it's really valid. And so we took a lot of time to discuss that, and it did take several meetings to come to fruition before we were able to finally manage and add 2 youth volunteers to our program. But those conversations are very vital and important, and it takes time to work through them. Try and manage how much time each person talks about the topic in a way. Try and ask open-ended questions so that people are thinking about the topic and are more likely to have input into the conversation, if rather than just making a statement about how you feel. It's not your job is to clarify what the conversation is about and to summarize it. It's not your job to state what your opinion is or which way you would like the decision to go. So always try and keep a neutral point of view when you are reviewing the information and clarifying it for the committee members so that they can make a good choice about what the vote should be.